Good afternoon and welcome to the July 16th, 1:30 p.m. council meeting, and we will stand for Pledge of Allegiance and prayer by Councilman Lawrence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father God, we the council humbly come before your throne, Father, and Lord, we ask that everything that we encounter today and everything we do would be bringing praise and honor and glory to your name, Father. Lord, your word says, Father, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask, Father. So, Lord, we ask for your guidance and your wisdom in directing the decisions this council will make today. And, Lord, we ask that you just bless each and every one that's gathered here today. And, Lord, we ask that you would continue to lift up, defend, and protect our first responders in every way, shape, and form. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. And at this time, we'll take any questions or comments from any citizens. And I see none, so we shall move on to the city manager's monthly report. Mr. Spradley.
So I'm going to start a little differently than we normally do, but we do have, I think the council's aware that this summer we hired 3 interns to assist with various departments, and so I wanted to give a little bit of time to introduce and recognize those and let their staff member bring them up. It looks like Terry's sitting in the first row with them, so I guess we'll start with Terry in finance.
Equally non-public speakers.
I know that's surprising for financial people,
Just
right?
follow the money.
It's okay.
So this is Addison, and she's actually an English major. She's local. She lives in French, graduated from Stinnett, and goes to school.
At Southwestern University in Georgetown up by Austin.
Thanks. She has been working a lot. I would say the primary thing that we have her working on is we just finished all of our FMAG fire documents, and it was very manual, and so she's helped get all of those put together. So that's probably the biggest one, and then on top of that, she's working on our inventory, making sure we have cost right, count right, that we're recognizing our reorder points, what's we don't need anymore. I'm sorry, there's a word for that, but
Par levels.
yes, exactly. So she's worked with our fixed assets. So really just a lot of kind of the background stuff that has been magnified by the amount of paperwork that we've had from the FMAG. So she's been great. Anyway, do you have any questions for her? Or? Oh, and she gets to go study in London next semester.
I
So
do.
she's
awesome.
saving her money.
Yeah. I'm studying in August and staying until December, so.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will be a better experience than London.
No comment.
At least we don't have a lot of fog here.
That's right.
I like the fog. I like cold weather, so I'm pretty excited about that.
But we have learned that she's quite a good organizer, which was, I think, probably a good thing, because I'm not for sure the stack of papers Terry first gave her was
We didn't cry at all. We just got it done.
That's a good thing.
So we thought about it.
I really love organizing. It's one of my favorite things, which is a weird thing to say, but I really like it.
Counting is fine. She's totally happy counting with pins. So
Yeah.
it's been good.
she's had the little temporary desk back there. I had somebody in here with me the other day, and they were looking at that little desk. They're like, "Whose work area is that?" It's like, it's just temporary. It's okay.
Yeah.
But we're definitely glad to have Addison
Yeah.
and appreciate the work that she's done. So.
Well, we
Good.
appreciate
Yeah,
you.
welcome.
Appreciate having you.
Thank you.
So next, I guess since we started in row order, we'll just go with Nicole and then Marie.
Teacher's supposed to stand with me.
Oh, they're nervous.
I'll let her stay there.
All right, how are y'all doing, Pencil?
Good.
This is Anne-Marie Stevens. She is the intern that me and Deidre share while she's here over the summer, and we cannot say enough nice things about her. She helps us out so much during this time. She helped us with like road closures and vendors and logistics for a lot of our events we do. So Freedom on Main, Music on Main, Adult Skate Night, Lemonade Day, all those she's helped us with. She's been doing some TERS grants research for me because we're going to be working on that for downtown coming up. So she's kind of been doing that pre-stage research of like other cities, what they're doing, what that looks like. And she also helped us with the downtown revitalization survey summary, which I think Garrett printed off for y'all. So that was a survey that we put out, we had 96 people respond, and then she took all that data, went through literally like pages and pages of stuff, and compiled it all into one page. She's also relocating the Huber Park birds to a wildlife rescue and rehabilitation center. So she's been kind of heading that up. And just networking, relationship building. You know, with our jobs, we work with like everybody. So she's got to work with the chamber, the EDC, just all the different organizations. And then she's also helped Deidre with the Citizens Academy. So she has done a lot while she's here, and we hope she comes back.
She is a
forever.
repeat offender.
Yeah, yeah, this is her second year, and we hope she comes back another year.
She helps us with content too, which is, it's nice to get a younger person's take. I don't realize how old I am until she's like, no, that's, no.
Well, I was a little surprised after a whole summer last year with Nicole and
Yeah,
Deidre that
she
she
came
wanted to
back,
come back, so.
We're not that bad. But yeah, and she's attending the University of Arkansas. She's doing engineering, right? So she's awesome.
All right.
And I well
Appreciate it.
know that probably more so than anybody, you know, she expressed last year that she had no idea what all the city does, and
We still
has
don't
had
know.
a great appreciation for public
Do you have
service.
anything, Rosie?
I've just like loved working with each and every one of you, and how each department, each individual, and each entity works together to achieve the city's mission. And like, it's just been such a blessing to like grow closer to Nicole, grow closer to Deidre and my coworker Mackenzie. And like, it's just been like such a fruitful summer, and like I was able to build on my knowledge last summer. And so I'm really grateful for the opportunity, and I can't wait to see what this next month has in store.
Oh, great.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
Lots of experience, girl.
Thank you.
That's
Come
neat.
back.
Thank you.
Which leaves Keith, and our second repeat offender, which I'm really surprised Keith and didn't scare her off last year.
Just keep coming back for more.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not scared. All right, this is Emma Jimenez. This is her second summer with us.
Great.
She's been helping us out with literally everything when it comes to IT. With my military background, I'm very much a learn by doing kind of guy. So she's had her hands in everything from our firewall, running wiring, network switching, basically anything that you can do for the city of Borger IT, she has done at least once.
Wow.
She's helped us research our cybersecurity policy, helped me write different policies and procedures, our how-tos. So when it comes to getting a foundation in IT, I think she's pretty rock solid.
Good.
And much like me, her major is in cybersecurity.
No, good.
Oh, cool.
Good.
That's great.
So yeah, y'all got any questions for us?
Nah. As long as she's smiling, it's okay.
You haven't cried yet, have you?
No.
Yeah, okay, good.
No.
As long as you don't cry, we're good.
No, we're
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to take that opportunity. We have kind of expanded that, you know, the last couple of years. Last year was our first year to do that. You know, I'd kind of always thought an internship program would be good. I wasn't for sure, you know, how many, you know, college kids we might have in the community that'd be interested in that. And I've been pleasantly surprised with the number of applicants that we do get and the benefit to the city. I take, you know, this opportunity, you know, important. And while we talk about that, you know, one of the things that HR has been busy doing is all the summer kids. And you know, for a lot of members of this community, the city is their first employer. And so we want to make sure that that experience and their exposure is good and positive, and learn a little bit about the city as they go through, and kind of learn how some bigger organizations work. I remember when I was getting my MPA in my organizational theory class, I had an argument with this kid whose whole work experience was the U.S. Army and Target.
They go hand in hand.
Well, I was like, you do realize that, you know, most employers in this country are way, way, way smaller than those two organizations. You work for like the Army, which is probably one of the largest organizations in the world, and Target's probably not much behind it. So, you know, we had a little bit of argument, but that's kind of nice with us, is they get, you know, to go through hiring processes and systems, and then kind of see more about how our city works. So we do appreciate all them. I've got some goodies in my closet that I was going to give them today, but I haven't had time to put them together yet. So they'll get their little City of Borger mementos before they leave, but we're glad to have the three of them with us this summer. As far as other updates in the city, you know, your finances are still looking good. If you'll notice in our budget report, we have now I have done the budget adjustments that I'm authorized to do, moving from individual line items within each fund. So far, in the general fund and the water sewer fund, we've been able to balance the budget again, just with the money that we have available. We are still trending positive. I will be bringing a budget adjustment ordinance to the council at the next meeting to adjust revenue. But most of it, we will end up in a better position. So we in general fund, we budgeted a pretty substantial negative because we transferred a lot of money out to the capital construction fund for the Johnson Park swimming pool project. But we will end up less negative than what we had budgeted. So that's a positive. We're just working through how much that's going to end up. I will probably, while I don't plan to amend many expense accounts, we will probably take some of that extra revenue and throw into the general contingency expense account so that I can move it to other accounts as needed, but not a whole lot of that. And the reason I say that is we do have, when we get to fire departments updates, we do have fire mitigation crews in Houston on TIFMAS responses. So this late in the year, we will incur those expenses, but the revenue probably won't be incurred till next year. So I'll use probably some of that to make that up in this budget year, but we'll have positive next year. Water and sewer, as you see, is really good. Sales taxes was up 10% this last month, so we're still trending positive there. And then hotel occupancy tax is still trending positive as well. As we talk about our big projects, 10th Street is still progressing. I know that I've warned the council before we moved into this phase, and I've continued to warn you, we are still doing utility work. It is still progressing. It is still on schedule. You just don't see a lot of that work. They are replacing service lines to the new sewer that was run on the north side, or the new water that was run on the north side, and so some of that's a little bit difficult. We are also taking the time to replace the sewer line that the gas company's contractor bored through 5 times when they were doing the other side, so that's added a little bit to that. AT&T they've at least exposed their boxes. I'm not for sure when that relocation is. They got to lower them. Hopefully that doesn't slow us down too much. J. Lee Milligan is ready to go back on the road work just as soon as we get the utilities out of the way. Again, this time and last time, most of our delays have been related to the other utilities, not us and not our contractor and not anything that we have control over. But we're still, right now, we're still mostly on schedule with the updated schedule following the delays on the north side. Rain has slowed down just a little bit on some of that. It's kind of hard to get heavy equipment in there when it's all muddy, but they're just about done with utilities, and if we can get AT&T's boxes down, we should be back onto road work and concrete work within the next week or two. Downtown Park is kind of progressing. They're back out there. That's just been a little bit slow, but there again, we haven't been in a hurry because the metal pergola that's going up there doesn't have a delivery date till late October. And so some of the concrete we can't pour because we'll have to pour footings for that anyway, but they are working through the electrical and masonry, and they should pour some of the concrete. It's going to look really nice. I mean, with some of the stone up now, you can kind of really see what that is looking like. Following the award of the pool bid at the last council meeting, we do have our pre-construction meeting set for August 1st, and that project is slated to kick off August 5th. So if you recall, July 28th is going to be our last day at the swimming pool this year, just about a week early. So we can get on that project and hopefully not miss next summer season. So that is progressing pretty well. We have started the sewer and Rock Creek replacement project, so they're about to begin starting work on that. I do have a contract on my office today for our screw pump replacement at the sewer plant that we talked about during our work session that's coming up. The OPC on that for both of them is $900,000. We have $400,000 budgeted for one next year. We've got a $758,000 kind of capital construction cushion, so we'll see how the bid comes. The engineers is a little worried about bidding on these because it's not a common replacement. So depending on if the contractors are used to it, or, the more uncertainty there is in a project, generally the more a contractor will inflate the bid to take, to compensate for any unforeseens. And it's not like there are a lot of screw pump and a lot of sewer treatment plants that get replaced on a regular basis. Keep in mind, these screws are probably 40 years old. Mm-hmm. So while we replace sewer line on a regular basis, and so do every other city, so there's lots of experience, replacing sewer line, there's not so much with that, but we do have that going. You will start seeing the rental fee for the pump that we're using right now, that's going to be about $4,500 a month in the wastewater treatment line item. There again, they do have the funds to compensate for that, and hopefully we'll get that taken care of as quickly as we can. We did get bids, we did open bids on the City Hall renovation projects. I put a pretty lengthy kind of update in the email. We're going to talk a little bit about that more in the work session. It's kind of funny. The base bid was a little higher than we were anticipating, but a lot of the other items are are actually quite a bit less. The heating and air for this building was bid at a little over $400,000. We were expecting that to be closer to $700,000 or $800,000. So there are some favorabilities that we're going to talk about, some other ways of maybe going ahead and doing it, why we have favorability. The low bidder was Plains, who is going to be in town doing the swimming pool project. I think that's why their overall bid was very favorable. But we're going to look at some short-term debt options that I think will actually provide some savings versus piecemealing the project out like we did. But we'll still got some more talking with that. I don't want to get too involved with that, and I just kind of throwing that out there so that y'all aren't, because I was surprised by the bids, so it changed my thinking. So I wasn't really prepared for that line of thought, so I'm still getting my head around that too, but I do think there's some benefits in that. So still lots of things going on. Of course, I will just remind everybody that the Cedar Street sidewalk project is not our project. That's the state's project. They are progressing with that. And then I will like to correct a rumor that I've heard. Did get back to us that the city was broke. And that's why there was no work on 10th Street, because we couldn't afford to pay the contractor, so the contractor is refusing to work. That is not the case. We issued that bond, and that money is still in the bank. We have close to $20 million in the bank. If you remember, the council increased the reserve requirement a couple of years ago from 25% to 28% because we were financially strong, and we are still financially strong. So budgets are performing on the positive side of what is budgeted, so I understand frustration with projects not looking like they're progressing, but it is not because we are broke. We are far from it, and actually probably in one of the stronger financial positions the city's ever been in. So I did just want to throw that out there. As we go through our departments, HR, we've been busy with our Perform implementation. So, we went with a new applicant tracking system and onboarding system. The next phase of that is our performance evaluation. So we're going to bring a lot of that into some online systems to help us engage and evaluate and encourage our employees a little better through that system. We'll be working to tie that to our core values, which you see us kind of pushing a whole lot, but that Boomtown pride, professional, responsive, innovative, diverse, and empowered. So as we continue to try to engage our employees more and make them feel like their work job is meaningful, and make sure that they're professionally developing and work on retention. So that's been pretty good. Of course, we do have our interns that we went through, and we also did bring in what is called an extern. So the state of Texas has a program for teachers to where they pay for a 1-week internship in local businesses to try to help them link their high school curriculum with real-world applications. So the state of Texas picks those applicants and then places them with local businesses. This year's extern that was assigned to us actually happened to be Councilman Lawrence's daughter.
I had nothing to do with it.
Which is why I prefaced the state picked them and placed them, and we're not paying them, so there is no conflict anyway. It's a state program.
Wasn't she Teacher of the Year last year?
She was,
Right.
yeah.
So
So
she's already on the.
So she was placed with Deidre and went through some other departments to kind of talk about, how that curriculum is. A lot of when we talked about her is, being an English teacher, there is a lot of, I think kids can discredit English in the modern world, but I don't think as we get more digital stuff like this, communication methods and stuff are important, and how we communicate and email, all that stuff is important. Kind of like I told her, especially for people's first jobs. We don't hire by voice, and we don't hire originally by sight. So if we have an open job, all we see is the application they fill out on the system. And so we're trying to make judgments, especially for entry level, based on that application. If it's an entry level position, just because somebody doesn't have experience doesn't mean they won't be good for that. So how do you choose who you want to interview? And so that's when you start looking at, did they punctuate correctly? Did they capitalize their name? Did they spell the street correctly? Did they answer all the questions? Did they follow instructions? And so a lot of what they probably think isn't important in high school English is very much important. And that's why I kind of took the opportunity to reinforce that, and why we talked a little bit about lifeguards we hire this year, 18 lifeguards. I don't necessarily expect them to have any job history, and neither does Manny. But if you've got a lot of applicants, how do you, if you know that an entry-level job like that's not going to have job history, how do you pick who to interview? And so it is important to know how to punctuate, to know that the first letter of your first name should be capitalized, to know if you're using an initial, it should be capitalized with a period after it, little things like that. So, but I do think she got some valuable feedback, and she's actually talked about, apparently I should have shut my mouth a little sooner, because now I guess I'm probably wrapped into talking to her class at some point next year, and so is Isaac in recreation, so she got something out of it, I guess, and thought we provided enough information to give it directly to the kids, but that was good. And then we have also HR's processed a few new hires. We have 2 new dispatchers after their interviews, and then we have a new fireman in hiring process after one of our newly recruits decided that the fire service was not a good fit for him. Now, I will say that he honored his contract and paid back his amount, so, but we do have, I think, a pretty good experienced fireman filling that, so we're still not losing too much ground from where we were. In the Office of Emergency Management, our chassis for the command truck is in, and we'll start work on that, so that's, we're excited about that. That a lot of times can be the big lead item or the hold up, so that still should be on schedule for next summer. Of course, they have been working a few structure fires. We had the Sanford City Hall fire that we assisted with out there, and of course we had the fatality fire this weekend over on Yo's. We've also met with Excel. OEM has met with Excel. They're working on their processes and their means of they're trying to come up when we get to wildfire responses and when to de-energize and stuff like that. So they are engaging all the public stakeholders and how we can communicate and how we can come up with those set standards and making sure that their response is at least somewhat based on both local needs and the national data that they can get. So they are working through that. We're glad that they're working with us on that. We're also in the county is testing a new emergency notification system that's as part of the new public safety radio system. So we've got the ability now to get some fobs that we can put in like critical locations that if somebody hits it, it sends out a message over the radio that there's an emergency at that location. So the county's going to test that, and depending on how that goes, we might want to put that in some of our positions or give it to staff that maybe doesn't need a radio but might need just some alerting capabilities. So it is it's nice that our radio system that we've invested in is expanding and continue to provide a benefit and other opportunities. We did finally get the invoice submitted to Pantex for the radar project, so that project is finally completed and able for them to reimburse us for that. If you recall, we've been incurring the cost, but it's 100% reimbursement, so once it met their standards and we went through the federal process, they're reimbursing all the costs, so that invoice has gone out, so that project is just about completed. Dustin Henderson and IT is off at our ESRI conference in San Diego, so hopefully he's learning some good things. We have been, if you've noticed, and we've sent out a few things, we are greatly expanding our use and reliability on graphic informational systems, mapping. That can make us more efficient in a lot of areas. We're excited about that. And of course, IT's been busy in cybersecurity, and we did that during the last work session, so I'm glad that nobody fell asleep, and then we... Although like Keith and I talked about, the video this year, they tried a little bit, so it was maybe a little cheesy, but it wasn't.
It was cheesy, but we were
I
good.
liked it.
It wasn't painful. It wasn't painful.
And then, of course, dispatch is working on training their new dispatchers, and have been busy with all of that. So our plane development, we continue to work with Take 5, the oil change place that's looking at going in at the old Boomtown Car Wash, the old Jack's Car Wash. So we've been working through some drainage issues with the slope of that property, so they've got another thing back, so that is still progressing. They have started to review the plans that have been submitted on the City Hall renovations. We'll have more about that at the next meeting, and then the plaza's working on, we're reviewing plans for a 3-stage renovation about to happen at the plaza. In code enforcement, our lawn care kits are kind of really taking off, especially after some more of our engagement. We actually had 12 people use those in July, and there's actually 3 people on the waiting list right now to get those lawn care kits. So we are glad that that's working pretty good and giving some people some ability to take care of their own lawn and weeds without us having to come in and do the enforcement side of it. And then Stephen Kimbley has passed his code enforcement certification exam, so we were excited to see that as he progresses through his career. In finance, Terry touched on it just a little bit, but we have completed all of our FMAG fire reimbursement documentation. So they spent, took 114 man hours in IT to get all that submitted. In all, the city incurred, and this is just the FMAG side, not the TIFMAS side. You know, we had people that were on TIFMAS response, but just the FMAG side, Public Works, firemen that weren't assigned to FMAG, admin, all those people that assisted with that fire. We had 4,100 hours of work and then 400 volunteer hours out at the Dome during that. So that's a cost of $132,789.59. It is a 75-25% match. We can use the volunteer hours to cover some of that match, so I expect we'll probably be reimbursed somewhere around $100,000 or so probably next year in the budget for that, but we have worked for all of that. And of course, they have been working on inventory that she mentioned, and believe it or not, the fiscal year's starting to slowly come to a close, so we're starting pre-audit work for the next audit. So I told you that you would hear the term audit a little less now that we're caught up, but little less doesn't mean not completely. We did, can't remember if I mentioned this last month or not, but we did get notification that our 2024 budget did receive the Distinguished Budget Achievement Award from the GFOA, so this is continuation of that, and so we hope that our audit will be audited and our public financial report be recognized for that later in this year. Fire department was out at the Boots, Badges, and Books, Badges, and Boots event at the library with the police department. You know, they've been doing that with the summer reading program and getting wet and getting kids wet and making sure that at least one motor officer was drenched by the time he left. I'm beginning to think that Officer Woods is just attracted to water. They also participated in the 4th of July little parade out of Meadowlark. They cooked hot dogs for everybody during Freedom on Main downtown, so hopefully some people got down here and got some hot dogs. We also helped MPS, both police and fire, with the fireworks show, the National Park Service out at the lake, so that, from what I understand, was quite well attended. I figured it would be since there was no other fireworks in the region on a Saturday, and really the weather for July was pretty nice, even for the 4th on Main. I was surprised with the weather. Of course, it has changed and corrected for that niceness here in the last week, but might be coming better. And then they, both the police and fire also participated in the annual park rec water gun fight out at the park to kind of send the signal, the winding down of the park rec program. On the EMS side, the state did come in and do a complete and full thorough inspection, and we have passed with flying colors there, so we're excited to see that, and we're still continuing to meet standards and provide quality service through the EMS department. As part of that, I think we kind of mentioned this, we have projected our loss for the first fiscal year with EMS, and we're looking at about a $280,000 loss. So we're doing good. If you recall, the AMR stipend or supplement request was for $670,000. So our high end, our best case scenario was going to be about breaking even. Our worst case projection was losing about $450,000. So we've split that pretty much in the middle. So for all the agencies to spend, I think that was definitely probably the right decision to go. It is saving us some money, and I do think it is.
Plus, we have assets now, too.
Right, we do have assets, and we have a little control over the service that seems to be going pretty well. I've heard, like I said, I have not heard anything bad from the public. We've had a few little internal things, but we've worked through all that, which is the case in any transfer of people in service, but it's been overall, I think, been going really well. So we commend Mike and Jamie and Jeff and everybody that is working through all of that. We also, in fire mitigation, do have 4 personnel down in Houston as part of TIFMAS on the hurricane cleanup. They're expected to be down there probably through the rest of this month. In court and city secretary, we're busy scanning and indexing a bunch of records, trying to get caught back up on that as we go through document management and digitizing some of the court records so we can get rid of some of that paper. I know, do we have a Did the community service, did we just?
We decided to go with it.
So now, we're letting some community service people do the fun work of feeding paper into the shredder and when you always.
Experience.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of shred, like, it's funny because the big shredders we have, when most people see them, or if they go in the supply closet, we've got a shelf in there that says shredder oil. And people are like, shredder oil? I'm like, yeah, when you shred a lot, you've got to oil the shredder. I mean, it's just not your little desk shredder. But we do have a records retention. Of course, we keep records that we have to, and then shred what we don't when we reach the retention period. So Public Works has, of course, been busy supporting 10th Street. We are selling the utilities like that. We've also failed to mention we kind of came across 2 unknown lines when we were potholing, getting ready for that. They're likely AT&T lines. One of them's probably abandoned, so we'll work through that. They've been supporting the pass-through park. Talk about recreation just a little bit. So we've been averaging about 100 kids a day in the park rec program, so that's a pretty good average, about 130 attendees to the swimming pool each day, so definitely staying busy there. The lifeguard cadre this year did obtain NASCO world-class rating, so that's the highest rating that the NASCO assessors can provide. We did actually get that last year as well, but this year they had the highest actual score that the group has ever had, so that's a pretty big news out there. While last year they scored high enough to still fall into that top category, this year's numeric score was higher than last year's. So I do always like to point that out, that we do have a safe environment out there. I mean, we are committed to providing protection and safety out there, and I know a lot of times that's one of our feedback, that I hear that a lot, that our lifeguards act and look completely different than lifeguards at other pools in the region and stuff like that, and I do think some of that is because this is not a, sit here, okay, here's your stand, here's your little floaty, if somebody needs help, go help them. There is quite a bit to that, and we are dedicated to providing a safe environment out there. So with that, there are still a couple of, don't forget that July 28th is the pool potty. So bring your dogs. They will be having some vaccinations and some microchipping going on out there. So we do want to invite everybody out for that. At solid waste, we did get our boom repaired. We had a failure in the boom a little bit, which slowed down some trash collection, and for the most part, we kept up with that. With probably most people not noticing, but you might have been delayed a day, or you might not have got your second pickup like we've been trying to do, but that has been corrected. Parks Department, we have got some new trees planted in Huber Park. Vehicle Service Center has completed the auction again, so we've been doing pretty good with our auction returns on that. They are also busy replacing 2 hydraulic cylinders on a trash truck, so those are big cylinders that compress the trash, so they're, big project there. And of course, the entire Public Works crew has been supporting all the events that have been going on. Streets departments, of course, we're trying to keep up with potholes and water cuts as much as we can. We do get a lot of service line leaks in the summer, just as the ground heats up, it shifts, and that creates some issues. I will try to remind everybody that most of the water leaks you see are service lines. Those are not water mains. That is not a reflection on the system as a whole. That's just 60 years of service lines, and so some of that is expected. Our system is still one of the better water systems, if not the best water system in the entire Texas Panhandle. I want to kind of shout out, while we talk about water cuts, to the sewer crew, who's also been helping the utility crew, the water crew, catch up on those as necessary. But the street department's also busy getting our streets ready for seal coating that have been identified for seal coating this year. So, we've got to go and make sure that all the weeds are out and the cracks are filled, and do all that prep work prior to that contractor being here, which should be in sometime in September. And then as they have time, we have started restriping some of the streets. Tristram's been restriped. You see the parking lines restriped downtown. We've done some of South Main. So they're going to continue on that as they have time through the summer. Public engagement, of course, has been busy with Freedom on Main. We did have our adult recess last Sunday, which had some pretty good feedback out at the Dome. The Music on Main is coming up. That's this Saturday in conjunction with the Farmers and Makers Market. So that's going to be Saturday downtown, Saturday evening downtown. So don't forget to be about that. And again, of course, she's working with Recreation and Animal Control with the pool potty. I think they try to mention that as in many departments as they can, just so they can see me say that. Like I said, I think next year we're just going to be generic and just go to her barks and wreck. I can say that a lot. I can say that without having to pause and, get myself prepped. Still going through the neighborhood cleanups. Those seem to be still working pretty well. I was in Coronado last time. We're going to keep those going and keep rotating those. We've also, you might see some event banners going up around town. Deidre started to create some seasonal banners with all the events going on in the season. So we still get people that call and say they didn't know about something. And, I will say this again, at this point, if you don't know what's going on, it's because you're not taking any action on yourself. It, in most cases, is in the quarterly newsletter that's going in your water bill. It is on all social media. We've got the Visit Borger website now, www.visitborger.com, that's got all of that stuff. We have the City of Borger app that you can download if you don't have all of that. There are flyers in City Hall and local businesses. So, there again, we are trying to take as much of an active approach as we can, but the definition of communication is two-way. So even though we're communicating, you've got to be receptive to communication for communication to happen. So we can't do it all. We need our residents to be a little open to some of that. So be looking and be mindful of all of that. They've also been working hard on Boomtober Fest sponsors. So we've got about $45,000 of sponsorship commitments already to offset that event. So they're doing a really good job ahead of last year already. So that should be a really good event this year. And so as it spans out, we've got, are we supposed to say who our celebrity judge is yet?
We can say our celebrity judge, just not the headliner.
And so the celebrity judge is
Young Jock.
Who?
Young Jock.
If you're a millennial, you know.
Okay.
Well, we don't.
No, I've heard the name. I just want to make sure.
So a lot of people know who he is. I do not. But, I'm in my own little path there anyway. But we thank Renee Bunn over at the Chamber of Commerce for hooking us up with that one. But that should make it more exciting. And they've had pretty good feedback on applicants for the Battle of the Bands. So that's actually been drawing in a lot. So this should be a lot of music on, a lot of good, diverse music on Saturday. In addition to.
Over like 40 applicants, and we're still taking submissions.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
So we will be disappointing some people, but there's going to be lots of music opportunities on Saturday. So that's definitely really grown up. And then, of course, that Sunday, the Chamber's taking over the fish fry again. So that'll be good. It'll still be there, be a little bigger, a little better than last year. We've ordered another fryer to make sure that we can keep up with that. And we're going to open it a little sooner. The lines last year weren't really because we couldn't keep up. It was because people got there 30 minutes before they were supposed to. So by the time we started serving, the line was already created. So doing that a little earlier, I think will help there. So we're excited about all of that. August 5th, we do have the Vision Board Night for Main Street that Nicole and Deidre are working with. That's an opportunity for everybody to come down and kind of give us your vision and ideas for Main Street. That's kind of a creative way of doing that. So that hopefully we'll get some constructive criticism and some constructive ideas other than just our social media bitching.
Did you say that?
I did. But it's pretty much said all over Facebook, so I figured that that's an acceptable, move to an acceptable time frame. But we do want input, and we do try to respond to our citizens. We can't meet everybody's needs, but that is a good opportunity to come. They'll give you some cheese and some fruit to give you some high fiber and some good protein to hopefully make your vision boards, a good feedback for us. Of course, this Thursday also, for everybody, beware that the Boots and Badges blood drive is going to be, the youth center this Thursday. So if you want to go get blood and get a free hot dog and go vote, you can choose to give your blood on the Boots team or the Badges team. If you talk nicely, maybe we can get them to do half and half so that we don't have to take sides. But that is Thursday. We have opened up this year's Tall Tale Tours. They're down to only 10 tickets left in that. So if you haven't gotten your ticket for the scary, historic Tall Tales Tour, you better get on it. I know that seems like everybody had a really good time with that last year. So I'm sure it'll be just a tad different this year. So it'll be some of the same, but it's a little enough different that if you did go last year, you might still want to go this year. In the police department, starting with animal control, our new Candace, our newest animal control officer, has completed her basic animal control officer certification and tested yesterday. And then, of course, they've been getting ready for the pool potty as well. There again, because they wanted me to say it again. Police department, much like the fire department, they also helped with the Freedom on Main, fireworks at the lake. Our 2 recruits are progressing through the police academy really well, and they should graduate August 1st. And then shortly thereafter complete their TCOL test, so we should have those 2 new police recruits on the payroll and on the street and the FTO program here by the time our next meeting occurs. So we're excited for that. The Motors Unit also helps support the Boots versus Badges blood drive in Amarillo like they do every year, and then we'll have some people out at the one here, and of course the Park Rec water gun fight. So lots of community events going on. I will notice that if you look through our performance measures, in some of that, we have recoded, we found some mistakes in how some crimes were reported and recoded. So if you really look at that, our aggravated offenses are significantly down. They're much more in line with where they probably ought to be now. They're actually down about 60% from what we have been reporting. So most of that was some inappropriate coding from who knows how long ago. So we are making a lot of progress there. So that's the happenings for the month. I'll entertain any questions or.
I just want you to say pool potty one more time.
Just say Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, okay. That's awesome, thank you, Nick. Well, I guess if that's it, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda, items 6 through 9. If there's any questions or anything that you guys have.
I move to accept consent items 6 through 9 as written.
Second it.
All in favor? And it passes. So then we will move on to the items to be considered. Number 10, consider and take appropriate action on resolution R-015-24 declaring Fire Ladder 7 surplus property and authorizing its transfer to Potter County. Chief Galloway.
Thank you, Donnie. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and council. With the arrival of the new tower, it was time to start looking for a buyer for the used ladder or existing ladder truck. I did reach out to the largest United States used fire apparatus dealership, sent them all the information and the pictures. They sent back, they estimated the worth about $90,000. So after that, Potter County reached out to us and was interested in buying the fire truck. So we offered it to them for $90,000, and with approval of their commission, they are going to purchase the fire truck.
Which we hadn't budgeted any revenue for that truck. We weren't for sure really what it would, and we've kind of talked about this before, used fire apparatus can be kind of a crapshoot because it is such a very specific item that requires a very specific use for it to be, it's not like a trash truck. A lot of times they might buy it for the chassis because if you take the barrel off of it, it's still a commercial chassis, or you can rob parts for other chassis. A fire truck's completely custom from the ground up. Its parts can't really be robbed to go to any other use other than a fire truck. So this is a pretty good win by working with Potter County. The Chief Galloway actually saved us the commission fees we would have had to pay if it sold for $90,000 on the auction. So
Right.
Okay,
That's awesome.
no problem.
Good deal. Like you said, it stays in the region, so.
Stays in the region, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's good as well.
Yeah.
it is probably a good deal for Potter County. We've maintained it pretty well. They kind of know what our maintenance records are. It is a little older. It is not good for our department and our needs as much as we use it, but the way their equipment is spread out and the way they have a little more funds to keep up with it, but not enough funds to purchase it with the way their ESDs are set up. It actually is a pretty good fit for how they operate.
That's awesome. Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
I think that's it. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
No.
Okay, well, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution R-015-24 declaring Fire Ladder 7 surplus property, authorizing the transfer to Potter County for $90,000 and authorizing the city manager to execute any and all documents necessary to complete the transfer.
A second.
All in favor? And it passes. Okay, So we will move on. At this time, the executive session in compliance with Chapter 551 Texas Government Code Open Meetings Law. The council will retire to an executive session relative to Section 551.072 for the discussions regarding the purchase, exchange, lease, and value of real property, and Section 551.074 for discussions regarding personnel matters. 11, discussions regarding the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property at the Borger Enterprise Park. Number 12, discussions regarding board member appointments. So at this time, we're going into executive session. 14. No action was taken, so now we're going to move on to number 13, consider and take appropriate action on Resolution R-016-24, appointing Eddie Edwards to the Canadian River Municipal Water Authority Board of Directors. Mr. Spradling.
So Charles Gillingham's term is up. Charles has been serving on the board since Eddie actually coaxed him into filling the vacancy of Bill Carter back in 2018. So I had to sweet talk him in to serve one more term last time. He did say that if I couldn't find anybody, that he would serve another term. But you know, I think as much as he's been involved in this community over the years, I think we deserve to give him some more time in his garden and doing the rain reports in the morning. So following Eddie's retirement, he had indicated his desire to someday eventually serve on that board. It is a good fit with his utility and water background, kind of like we talked about before. And inside there, the Canadian River Municipal Water Authority Board is probably the most important board that we appoint anybody to. It has a lot of impact on us, both financially, as in what projects they put forward and how much we contribute, and in future debt. It is vital for our economic sustainability and growth, and they've got a lot of things going on. So making sure that we've got somebody that's got that background and that knowledge. Of course, Charles definitely had that after his time in the council and his time as a chemist with Huber. Our other board member, Glendon Jett, definitely has that after his years as an engineer with Phillips. Glendon's really taken hold of the salinity issues at the lake, and he's actually the chairman of that subcommittee, so I do think Eddie will be a good fit going in there. He has the history going way back. He's got the interactions with industry, so that is our recommendation, because I think every now and then Eddie likes an excuse not to tell Camden that he can't do something because he's got another obligation.
Get out of those honeydews.
But I can answer any questions, or if you got any questions for Eddie, but otherwise, the resolution's there.
All right, I entertain a motion.
I move the resolution R-016-24, appointing Mr. Eddie Edwards to the Board of Directors of the Canadian River Municipal Water Authority for a term ending in July 31st, 2026, be approved as submitted.
I second it.
All in favor? And it passes. All right, moving on to item 14, consider and take appropriate action on resolution R-017-24, appointing and reappointing members to the Borger, Inc. Board of Directors. Mr. Spradling.
And so I see that Amy's back from what she thought was her obligation. She can definitely, I put myself on these because I didn't think she was going to be here, but if you all have any other questions, they do have 3 board members, board appointments up. Jesse Sheffield is back there. His term is up for reappointment. The other 2, Michelle Griffin has asked not to serve another term. Her term is up. She's gotten pretty heavy in the United Way following the fires, and she's also on the Borger Housing Authority, so she's looking to kind of give herself a little more time. We do appreciate her service over the years, but she's asked not to be reappointed, so we have that one open. And then Scott Mills has resigned from his partial term. Actually, I believe Amy only coaxed him into being reappointed for a year more of service anyway back when they reappointed him. So we knew this was coming. He's getting ready for retirement. And so, of course, we don't. People like that have put a lot into the community, into our boards over the year, we definitely want to hold back the retirement, so that one has come up. So we've discussed this a couple times. We have been able to get commitments from Mr. Edwards, who's again served on this board, and Sonia Mitch has submitted an application. She's the HR director at Tokai, so that would give us a good industrial rep. You know, we try to get input from different types of backgrounds on that board. But after our discussions and mine and Amy's discussions, I think everybody is copacetic with these recommendations. But as I've said, it's completely and totally up to the council following those appointment guidelines. But with that, I or Jesse or Eddie or Amy or Michelle, although Michelle most reluctantly would answer any questions.
No, we've all had discussions about this, and we feel like Mr. Edwards and Ms. Mitch and Mr. Sheffield and their willingness to serve would be the best fit for our board at this time and help move our vision that the council and the board has put forward and help accomplish all the goals and stuff for the community at this time. So if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Other than that, we look to the leadership of the council on this subject.
Thank you. Any questions?
No.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve Resolution R-017-24, appointing Mr. Jesse Sheffield and Mr. Eddie Edwards to the board, to the Borger Economic Development, the Board of Directors for a term ending June the 30th, 2027, and Ms. Sonia Mitch to the unexpired term ending June 30th, 2026.
All in favor? Oh,
Second.
sorry. Go ahead. All in favor? And it passes. All right, item 15, we'll consider and take appropriate action on Resolution R-018-24, approving the option agreement on the sale of approximately 115.54 acres located in Section 25, Block Y, Arnold and Barrett Survey, Hutchinson County, Texas, between Borger, Inc. and the Borger Economic Development Corporation and 828 Sport Tourism Group, LLC. Ms. Fesser.
Sorry, I should have just stayed up here.
You're okay.
And so this is just another step in moving this project forward and executing this option agreement on the Enterprise Park property. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but,
Let's get this.
this is just,
This is Borger Inc.'s legal commitment of the land to 828 and 828's legal commitment on the land. This is the next big step for 828 to secure and finalize funding for the project. It does set the sales price. I do just want to kind of clarify that while we have set a sales price at $40,000, that's how we value it. That likely will be, as we've mentioned from the very beginning of this project, be tied into some sort of incentive agreement as the project moves forward. Probably in some form of forgivable loan or, tiered phase, which is what we have done with previous projects and incentives in the past. So we're not doing anything
Right.
different with this project as we've done with other projects in the past. But this is a step moving forward, I think, in the right direction and actually kind of one of the first real legally binding steps. So it's exciting to see it continue to move forward. I would just iterate that the EDC is in pretty regular contact with 828 as we continue to move forward. So
we actually had a team meeting this morning, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So, and we valued at $40,000 an acre. Previously, with like the hydrogen company, it was at $35,000 an acre. So since land has appreciated, so has the price.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Don't have any questions?
No.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve Resolution R-018-24, authorizing the option agreement on the sale of approximately 115.54 acres located in Section 25, Block Y, Arnold and Barnett Survey, Hutchinson County, Texas, between Borger, Inc., the Borger Economic Development Corporation, and 828 Sports Tour Development Group, LLC.
Second.
All in favor? And it passes. On to item 16, consider and take appropriate action to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
And all in favor? This meeting is adjourned. Thank y'all for coming.